I was 18. I lost the weight, 130 pounds in a year. And then I was like, now I'm kind of getting obsessed with the self-improvement thing. I want to look better now. I want to see what I can do to look facially better. So then I was like, okay, how can I do that? And that's when I kind of found, looks maxing.
Looks maxing has a real world effect. And I think one of the main ones is body image issues. It encourages you to aspire to something that's very unrealistic in a lot of cases.
Hey, I'm Ikra, and this is What's in the World from the BBC World Service. Looks maxing has been all over the internet lately. This is the trend aimed at young men, and as the name suggests, it's all about this idea of maximising your physical attractiveness. Pouty lips, the chiseled jaws, hunter eyes are just some of the traits that are being promoted by looks maxing influencers. And it's having an impact on young men too. Some of them are going to extreme lengths to be able to get these looks, like surgeries, body modifications. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the looks maxing movement. Let's bring in Trevor, who documents his looks maxing journey on TikTok. He's on the line from LA right now. Hey, Trevor.
How's it going?
Yes, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Pretty early in the morning, but obviously we're chatting, so
yes.
Excited to talk about my journey, definitely. I definitely have a pretty crazy story.
I want to hear all about that crazy story then. Tell us about when you first started, I guess when you wanted a bit of a change and what drew you into looks maxing.
Well, so growing up, I'll just start kind of at the beginning. I'll go through it quickly. I've been acting since I was a kid. I've been in over like 20 shows, and I was always, the overweight redheaded kid. People, might know me from Fresh Off the Boat, True Detective, many shows that I've done in my past. And I think growing up, kind of always being stereotyped as just the fat, funny kid who's just getting picked on, or the bully, or just somebody who, never really would get attention from girls, or from, never really respected. I think growing up, that always took a toll on me. So when I turned 18 years old, I was 300 pounds at that time. And I remember I looked at the scale, and I was like, well, I'm turning 18 now. It's kind of like not now or never, but it's like, if I'm going to make a change, I need to make the change now, because I'm turning into adult. It's not like, oh, I can push this off more. Like, I need to lose the weight. I need to like better myself, just to change not only the way that people treat me, but also the way that I looked at myself, the way that I respected myself. So I went ahead and did that. I started a weight loss journey. I did that all completely naturally. That was before like Ozempic became like a big thing. This was like years ago. I was 19 years old, and then I was like, okay, I lost the weight now. Now I'm kind of getting obsessed with the self-improvement thing, like the self-improvement thing. I'm like, okay, I want to look better now. I want to see what I can do to look facially better. So then I was like, okay, how can I do that? And that's when I kind of found, looks maxing. That's when I was like, okay, what's this looks maxing thing? So then I started doing research on that. I would say there's darker sides, like there's sides that I don't like to like kind of associate myself with, but there's also sides that I like to stay with, where it's a very support, not just supportive, but like they give the information to you to help you as well as themselves, if that makes sense. It's like a community, like it's like a class where there's like, people, it's like a group project, and you're all trying to better yourself to make yourself look better, if that makes sense.
We've got Thomas Morgan, who's a BBC journalist, to break this one down for us. Hey, Thomas.
Hey.
So, Thomas, talk me a little bit about your story, because I know you came across looks maxing videos, right? How did you come across them? How did they make you feel?
Yes, so I was scrolling on my For You page on TikTok. I was looking for general skincare tips, fitness, gym tips, and I noticed that there was a looks maxing hashtag at the bottom of most of these videos. I looked into it, and I found this whole online subculture of looks maxing. So it's based on the idea that a man's life outcomes depend heavily on looks and what they refer to as their sexual market value. It originated about 10 years ago in the early 2010s out of some of the manosphere incel online forums, and it's having a moment right now online, made popular through TikTok.
You mentioned the link from looks maxing to incel culture. That's being involuntary celibate, an online community of men who are kind of frustrated by their lack of sex, blame women for it.
In looks maxing, it's very focused on hierarchy and ranking. Men are ranked by attractiveness, and the goal is to ascend to achieve the top tier status of attractiveness according to them. They refer to that as Chad status, but I think it's important to distinguish between soft maxing and hard maxing. Hard maxing is the more extreme side, so that is encouraging men to get surgery, to take supplements, testosterone peptides, and extreme body modification. The soft maxing is just male grooming, gym, skincare, and lifestyle. But all of this does link to sort of incel culture, and they do share a similar worldview. Content is often pushed alongside this as well.
So can you describe, I guess, the tone of the comments? What's happening in the comments of these looks maxing videos? What are people saying?
Yeah, so the tone is quite extreme. It's extreme and it's very competitive. It's constant peer ranking, comparison, and in a lot of cases, humiliation. The underlying ideology of this, a lot of looks maxers are described as and would describe themselves as black-pilled. Now, being black-pilled is the belief that your attractiveness determines your success in life. So no other qualities, not how you treat people, how good you are as a person, but purely your physical attractiveness. And I think if you're not, in the eyes of other looks maxers, if you've not won the genetic lottery or you've not achieved Chad status, then it can lead to quite a depressing, negative space where you feel like there's nothing you can do, and you've been dealt bad fortune in life. The ideal man, often for people in this looks maxing community, there is commonality when you look at the Chads. They do all have a similar look. Chiseled jaw, very lean, muscular. So it sort of encourages this uniform look of what the top tier of attractiveness is. I've been speaking to Stephen, who's a 20-year-old college student who discovered looks maxing through social media, and he spoke to me about his experience.
I started last year, sophomore year in college, and I was like, I want to be the first, like, I guess, black looks maxer, because like there was no black looks maxers, like it was only like white people. So I was like, okay, let me be the first. And then I posted 2 videos like, oh, I'm gonna be a black looks maxer and stuff. 2 videos in that time span, I got how many? I'm thinking how many death threats. I got death threats, and then I called slurs I didn't even know existed. It got weird like really quickly because I was saying like there was no representation at all. Like it was only white people. Like you gotta do this. Like I didn't start seeing the JBW, which means just be white quotes, until like later. It took a dark turn really, really quickly. But yeah, I just feel like I just knew it just wasn't for me. Like, why am I looking for white beauty standards as a black man? They really think like if you're white, you're automatically beautiful, which is, I mean, to each their own, but that's not how it works.
Looks maxing isn't only about men and the way they view themselves. What about the way men are viewing women because of looks maxing?
Most of the looks maxing community are heterosexual men, and the goal is to increase their sexual market value, as they say, and increase their appeal to women. How they speak about women, often it's objectification. Women are treated as status markers within the hierarchy. The same ranking system that we spoke about earlier, that they rank other men, is appealed to women as well. In some cases, women are portrayed as manipulative, and that a lot of these looks maxers view women as something to conquer rather than to build healthy relationships with. So
we're getting an idea how this is a whole other world in its own, and a whole other internet subculture with all the different terms. People are being affected, ranked in different ways. Why is looks maxing really taking off with men then, would you say?
I think the appeal for a lot of young men and boys is that it offers a solution. Insecurity is widespread amongst a lot of people. They might be insecure about their looks, and I think looks maxing offers a solution to that, albeit unrealistic in a lot of ways. And I think it also offers a sense of community. There's a shared language and an identity, although there are a lot of aspects of the community which is negative, judgmental. it still is a community. So I think it offers a sense of belonging, and also validation as well. I think a lot of people, seek validation from others, and I think that's something they get from it when they feel like they're moving up the scale of attractiveness. I think the downside is it can reinforce insecurity. A lot of the methods that are encouraged may be financially out of reach for a lot of people. So achieving the top tier of attractiveness is unrealistic, and I think you're drawn into it by an easy fix, but a lot of people find out that it's not the case most of the time.
But what about trickling through into real life, how it affects everyday life?
Yeah, so looks maxing has a real world effect, and I think one of the main ones is body image issues. It's a very judgmental ranking system, and it encourages you to aspire to something that's very unrealistic in a lot of cases. So a lot of men experience muscle dysmorphia, and it can also have an effect on your mental health if you cannot achieve the top tier of attractiveness. Limb lengthening in some case, bone smashing, some of these things that fall under hard maxing, have been condemned by health experts as quite dangerous. And I think a lot of the extreme misogynistic views that are pushed alongside this content can have a real social impact on the people that are taking them in how they nurture relationships with women, whether platonic or romantic.
Did you feel pressure? Did you feel included to be part of this community?
It depends. I'd say a little bit of both, yes and no. I think people, especially any time that there's looks involved, there's always people who are very, I'd say, rude. I think it's a somewhat inclusive space because people understand the struggle of, not looking your best, the way that people treat you because of that. What I try to, teach other people is to uplift others with what you have learned for yourself, instead of, like, you don't want to bring other people down. You want to try to lift everybody up and somewhat ascend with everybody else, if that makes sense.
Trevor, it won't be news to you. A lot of people associate looks maxing in the community with being quite toxic, having misogynistic views. What would you say about that?
I will say that because of some of the bigger figures and some of the things that have been said, me personally, I'm not a misogynist. I don't think that it is the right route to go. Most guys who looks max comes from deep insecurity, and it comes from a feeling of worthlessness because of not getting a woman from like a younger age. And this could be from personal experience too. I mean, I never had a girlfriend for a long time, so I think when you start making yourself look better, and then you kind of understand, oh, now I look better, now I'm getting more attraction from females, it's almost like a resentment thing. It's almost like, oh, I'm going to get revenge now. Like, I'm going to get revenge because now I look better. If you look better, I mean, the truth is you probably will get treated better, and you'll definitely get more attention from the opposite sex. Like, that's just kind of a fact, in my opinion. I think that you should better yourself for yourself, and not to get back at anybody, and not to, definitely not to be a misogynist. I don't think that that's right.
And what would you say to the people who say looks maxing is adding on an unnecessary pressure onto men? People face so much pressure these days anyway. It's just another pressure to be added on.
If you are hyper fixated on like fixing every little thing about your face, it can turn into a bad thing. I 100% agree with that. But I think that something that people need to drill through their head is stop comparing yourself to people and try to compare yourself to before, and just try to like better yourself naturally, because it can go down the wrong path.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, Thomas, so what I'm hearing is looks maxing works for some people. There's nothing wrong with wanting to change your appearance. It's important to get that medical advice anytime you want to do any surgeries or change your appearance in any way. But there are also some misogynistic, toxic parts of this community. We can't deny that. It's affected people's mental health and how they viewed themselves as well. So remember, you guys, if you come across any type of content that's affecting your mental health, it's important to remove yourself, or you can take a break anytime you need to as well. Thomas, thank you so much for coming by and chatting to us about this.
Thank you for having me.
And that's it for today. Thank you for joining us. But for now, I'm Ikra Farouk. This is What's in the World from the BBC World Service.